So the actual fear came later when I was safe, basically. And I started to have nightmares when I was back to the zone. I couldn't hear on TV or radio any mentioning on Chernobyl. I switch the channels, and it was like waves of terror from time to time, and and I did probably all possible mistakes people can do experiencing the fear. First of all, I thought it's my personal problem. I need to deal it myself. So basically, my family, later my wife, didn't know what I was going through. Uh, I tried to just try to ignore the fear, and it didn't work like that, because all we very often what we try to ignore, it persists. It becomes bigger, stronger, and starts to control your life. So, but basically, at some point, I decided that I need help, and I received the help. And my experience taught me a lot when I worked with people with fears, with anxiety. I knew what they going through, and I used my own experience. So it's probably the biggest teacher for me. It's my fear, and I can recognize it right now.
And that's what and we're similar in the aspect. Like the biggest teacher is what you've been through and what you feared, and
Exactly.
you live the lifestyle of knowing what that's like, and just to tell people like this is not, it don't have to be like this. And I think that's the main thing.
And you don't need to suffer alone with
Right.
any problem you have.
Right. And I think sometimes the generation too, we prioritize, or we what's the word I want to use? We put a spotlight on isolation. And again, there's a moment for isolation, but there you can't live a lifestyle of that, because you really can't do it all alone. Because if you could, you'd be much further, and you already aren't very far now. So it's like, just the kind of the thought process behind that. This is for anybody who think they want to start a podcast. So is it you? Do you think you want to start a podcast? Cool. Let's be real. Watch this. So we don't need another podcast that sound like everybody else, right? We got enough of them. We're going to talk about those today. But saying the same stuff with no structure, no message, no plan, that ain't good. Now that's where I come in. Me, right here, Head Honcho. All right. So I have a new podcast package. It's called the Legacy Launchpad. Now, what is this? This is for podcasters who fall in the personal development influencer space. So who is that? That would be obviously personal development. That's pretty broad, but coaches and speakers, Christian-based influencers, faith influencers, maybe a pastor, a church, any type of course creator, education, mental health, wellness, nutritionist, all that good stuff. If you are trying to help the betterment of other people, fitness too, then this is for you. I will help you build your podcast from the ground up. This includes toning up, giving you the message, your niche, your show structure, the episode outlines, the intros, outros, descriptions, all of you. Show up to record and I build your legacy. If you're ready to stop playing, let's get it cracking. Okay, so let me ask this before we move to the next segment. And what it is that you do in your experience, what is the most dangerous form of fear, and how does it affect the body neurologically?
Okay. Actually, it's a good point when we can discuss and distinguish fear from anxiety.
Right.
Yes, and it's from neurological point of view. Let's talk neuroscience for a minute. And fear, actually, fear is good. It's great, and let's start from there. We just need to distinguish again healthy fear and unhealthy fear, and we probably will talk about more. And having fear, it's a safety mechanism. It's help us survive as a species. Otherwise, we wouldn't be on this planet. So we have this small structure in our brain called amygdala, and it's like alarm button in our brain. When amygdala detects any danger, it's trigger what we know fight or flight reaction, right? So, and again, there are some problems. We probably, again, it's interesting. We can discuss it later because it's not the function of amygdala detect is it real danger, it's what happening outside of us, or it's what we create. Just imagine it's still the same trigger that can start this whole cascade reaction, fight or flight.
Right.
And this is fear, and normal fear is it's always about what's happening right now. Anxiety, it's a whole different animal, and it's
Right.
a different part of the brain. It's prefrontal cortex, and it's also very interesting because it's the same area which allows us to imagine, to plan, to fantasize, to see the future. And so it's, on one hand, it's a huge gift, and only we as a human being in the whole animal kingdom has this ability to imagine the future, for example, to have a plan, and the same structure which force us to worry. And anxiety, it's always about what wrong can happen. It's not happening right now, but when we start to think about what can go wrong, we will start to feel this anxiousness inside. And again, it can feel similarly, but it's two different sensations and two different structure of the brain activated at that time.
Okay, good stuff. So he gave y'all a nice breakdown on that and just understanding that, which we've discussed before, but there is a difference between fear and anxiety and a good anxiety and that kind of thing. And
there is no good anxiety.
Good fear, not good anxiety.
Fear is, yes.
Now, before we get into, I'm gonna get into that in the next segment because I want to address that. But hold on, so let's get into the next segment, which is, what does this have to do with mental health? Now, I actually had somebody on the podcast, so that's why I'm asking, who actually said that there was good and bad anxiety. And you're saying that there's no such thing as good anxiety.
Let me correct myself.
Okay.
There could be healthy dosage of anxiety because it helps us to prepare. For example, if you have test tomorrow and you're not ready, this healthy anxiety will push you to do at least something, right? It's what I often explain and I write about in my book. I'm often giving my patients the simplest exercise that's called thermometer of emotions, and I will explain it in just let's do thermometer of anxiety, right? So you can just imagine this thermometer with scale from 0 to 10. And there are several zones. And first zone is green zone, let's say tension from 0 to 2 or 3, and it's healthy tension. It's what helps us to wake up in the morning, to go through the day